Hello, this is Ruth Kearns-Volman. Welcome to the second episode of Milestone Moments. Short, impactful extracts from my longer podcast interviews designed to give you a boost and to inspire, encourage, and equip you on your path to success. In 2015, during the failed coup in Burundi, Simon Guillebaud, founder of an NGO called Great Lakes Outreach, faced a milestone moment. Would he stay, or would he take his family and flee to safety? Literally surrounded by gunfire and burning roadblocks, he decided to stay. He gathered his leaders in a room, and together they decided to use their influence to advocate for peace and non-violence. What made it possible? I'll let you listen to Simon tell this part of his story. There's a couple of themes in there that you keep coming back to that I'd love you to talk about a little bit. One is the importance of relationships in leadership and in success. And the other one is about perseverance and how you keep going. What are the things which keep you going? So that's a double-headed question, I know.
Yeah, so to me, relationship would be everything. What I mentioned is relationship is everything. You can't be fruitful, successful without being good at relationships and investing in relationships. And relationships cannot be microwaved. So the influence that I've been able to have in Burundi is because I've been there 20 years, is because I've earned people's trust, I've earned credibility. When other people fled during crisis points, I stayed with my family. We voted with our feet. Most people were trying to leave. We stayed. So relationship, I look at, 2015, a failed coup and horrible things happening, and amidst gunfire and burning roadblocks literally a few hundred yards away, I drew together our key leaders and I said, okay, this is going to cost us. Are we ready for this? Are you ready to die for what we're about to decide? And we had this holy moment of people saying, well, actually all of them saying yes, but counting the cost. And then we divvied up roles in terms of using the media that was available to speak values of peace and non-violence, all that sort of stuff. And we said, who's going to address the militias? Who's going to get church folk together? Who's going to get youth? Who's going to address the army? And the fruit of that work came because we had met for breakfast once a month as key leaders for 5-6 years before that. We'd been away on retreats with our spouses. So there's an incredible depth of relationship. And so to me, relationship is absolutely critical. And then that would tie in also with the perseverance, because sometimes, and let me say, my context has been that I have wept more in the last few years than I have since I was a baby, because if you love people and friends are being tortured and very, very grim stuff has happened, then you engage emotionally and it costs to care. And so it's been very hard to hang on in there and be hopeful, because as a nation, we've just literally gone back 20 years in terms of economic development, poverty, hunger. We're the hungriest country in the world. We've got the highest rate of malnutrition. We came out as the UN's most miserable country in one of their surveys. So it's been hard to hang on to hope. And sometimes you just need to have someone else who can lift you up. And sometimes you're in a better place and you can lift the other person up. But often you are just hanging on in there by the skin of your teeth, going through, and clearly most listeners won't have been through a war zone conflict situation, but you could be going through a breakdown of relationship or financial problems, whatever, where you can't see the road ahead and you've just got to hang on in there and persevere, put one foot ahead of the other. But you're not going to do that effectively alone. So again, it's back to relationship and doing that with people journeying alongside you so that we can encourage each other. And I'm grateful for people around me that do that. I'm grateful, for example, in terms of accountability, that I've got a bunch of guys that will ask me the tough questions about how I'm doing in my journey, whether I'm compromising on my values. My best man, I don't actually really like him. His name's Dirk. And I explained that I don't really like him because when I get an email from him, literally, I'm like, oh no, what have I done wrong now? Because, he loves me too much to let me settle for mediocrity or compromise of who I am and the potential I've got to fulfill. So, when I hear from him, even this week, he's picked me up on what my goals of what I'm doing right now. And I didn't reply to one email, so he followed it up again. We need people around us who love us too much to not challenge us. I'm very grateful for that.
We all need a Dirk.
Yeah.
So here we are in beautiful Switzerland, one of the least hungry and least poor, the richest places in the world. You've come back from 20 years in Burundi. You know, a lot of people in your shoes would be having some kind of midlife crisis now about what's next. You know, how are you feeling about it?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you say that straight away, I'm thinking, because I come from a wealthy background, and here we are in a chalet looking out on the mountains. It is gorgeous, but you can have everything to live with and nothing to live for. And I think that is so many people on the success wagon. And that's why it's so important to move from success to significance. And I'm grateful that I've had that significance all the way. It's always been about a bit bigger picture than about myself. But a lot of people, you know, their success has been quite narrowly defined and probably on closer analysis misdefined or, you know, it wasn't quite how it should have been defined. As we move forward, so, you know, I'm transitioning back to life in the UK. I don't really see the road ahead. I've got a crazy year of speaking around the world with my family and homeschooling, world schooling. We're 2 months into that. We've got 8 months to go, and then we'll move back to the southwest of England, and I'll probably go 3 times a year trips back out to Burundi. So I'm still involved in that work. I suppose I need to work out at some stage whether my life work is Burundi as opposed to just 20 years. So are the next 20 years going to be Burundi? I don't know. But I'm very passionate about the nation. We are Burundian. We've got Burundian nationality. We're identified in that way with the people. And so I'm a networker, connector, author, you know, all those ways of flagging up this beautiful broken country so that people get involved and support the ongoing work of turning that country around.
Although Simon returned from Burundi with his family in 2018, leaving Great Lakes Outreach in the hands of capable local leaders, he is still very much involved in supporting their work with some of the poorest and hungriest people in the world. You can find out more about it at greatlakesOutreach.org. Simon continues to work as a Christian author, speaker, and podcaster. So if that is your thing, I can totally recommend his podcast called Inspired, where he interviews men and women of faith from all walks of life about their stories of adventure and risk-taking for God. So go check that out. But now back to you and what to do with Simon's example. I know it would be easy to dismiss his story as extreme. As he said, most of you listening will never live in a conflict zone, but all of us will experience challenging seasons in our lives. And the relationships that you choose to invest in now will be what enables you to persevere and hold on to hope during those times. So I want to challenge you to consider which relationships you're investing in. For example, do you, like Simon, have a Dirk in your life? Someone who you allow or even ask to challenge you when you are not living up to your potential or your values and commitments? Someone who cares too much to watch you live a life less than the one you were created to live? Of course, this directly relates to the question of what you are living for. As Simon said, we can follow a definition of success where we end up having everything to live with and nothing to live for. And I agree with him. To define success purely in terms of my own achievements is far too narrow. At least for me, my definition of success has to serve a greater purpose than my own self-actualization. And yet it's so easy to get caught up in others' expectations or definitions of success. To arrive at a point in our lives where we feel a sense of dissatisfaction, where we feel like we have more to give and live, but we don't know how, and we recognize the need for a shift. And you don't need to leave your job or go to Burundi to do that. In the last Milestone Moment episode, Virginie Elias expressed the same type of decisive shift in perspective about her path when she chose to make a bold move in her corporate career, and she didn't even change company. So in my next episode on Your Path to Success, I'm going to share more explicitly my thinking and my own story about defining and redefining success and how I help other people do that too through my coaching programs. If you've enjoyed listening to this, please subscribe to hear more inspiring and encouraging stories of how people have navigated their path to true success. And until we meet again, I want to encourage you to keep living out your values wherever you find yourself and to invest in relationships that will stand the test.